All right, shalom everybody. Rob Vanhoff here with Rob on the Rock and Telos Torah. Want to give a little bit of reading here from our Torah portion this week. This is the last Torah portion in the book of Genesis. Vayechi, Yaakov and Jacob lived in the land of Egypt. It starts at the end of chapter 47 of Genesis and continues through the end of the book, which is 50 chapters. So it's the end of Genesis 47 and then all of 48, 49, and 50. And what I want to do here is just look at the first 5 verses of chapter 48. But before we do that, let's remember, what are we doing here? Well, there's a beautiful passage here from Psalm 119, verse 97. It says, Ma ahavti Toratecha, kol hayom hi sichati. Ma ahavti Toratecha, how I have loved thy Torah, or your Torah. Kol hayom, all the day. He, so he that's the feminine third person independent pronoun, but it's pointing to its antecedent, which is Torah. Torah is a feminine noun. So he, sichati, is my conversation, is my meditation, is my contemplative reflection. That's this word sicha at the end. Sichati means mine, my sicha, my meditation, my conversation, my contemplation. So Psalm 119:97, Ma ahavti Toratecha. For those who have done a little bit of first-year Hebrew, you'll see that word ahavti, and you'll notice, wow, that is just a simple call, perfect, active form. The root is aleph, he, bet, ahavti, I have loved. Remember, in Hebrew, in the first person, both singular and plural, there's no gender encoded. So this could be something a man could say or a woman could say, and you wouldn't have to change any of the grammar. Ma ahavti Toratecha, how I have loved your Torah. And of course, this is the heart of a worshiper to the holy creator of heaven and earth. And so think of all the things packed into just that, the first part of that. How I love your Torah. That is acknowledging that the Torah is from God. It's from Adonai. It's from outside our creation. It's a revelation that he has given to us in human language. It's in our language. So we can learn and build up our understanding and our discernment because he's revealed his word to humans. And there have been faithful, like we read in Hebrews 11, from Abel all the way down, faithful witnesses to God's revelation. Here we say, Ma ahavti Toratecha, and we could talk about the law given at Mount Sinai. Here we could be talking about the Torah as the Pentateuch. That's the one, the book that begins Bereshit, bara Elohim, etc. Or like Yeshua, he referred to the Torah as including even the Psalms, which are meditative celebration and devotional song dedicated to God and his Torah. Many of them are about the loveliness of God's Torah, his commandments, and how wonderful God's revelation of his word is. But here we get started. Ma ahavti Toratecha, how I love thy Torah. Kol hayom hi sichati. What is this other than the first commandment? Right? Love God with all your heart, soul, your strength. And remember what it says, these words that I command you today shall be on your heart. Right? And you will, all the time. The idea is day and night, like we see in Psalm 1. Yomam v'layla. Meditate on God's Torah. So that gets us started here. That gets kind of us excited about what we're doing when we open up God's holy word. We are putting before us, or rather putting ourselves in front of God's holy revelation. We should take that with all the gravity and wonderful privilege, and we should cherish that as as a wonderful delight from heaven, because that's what it is. But let's now dive into chapter 48, 1 through 5. For those who've done a little bit of Hebrew, I'm hoping that this will be connective for you and things you're learning. For those who haven't, you might just enjoy listening and maybe seeing if you can glean a little bit. But what we're going to read here is Genesis 48, 1 through 5. And I have the NASB here on the right. It says, Vayechi acharei hadvarim ha'ele. And it was acharei hadvarim ha'ele, after the words or the things, these ones, hadvarim ha'ele. After these things, Vayomer le Yosef. Now, literally, this says, and he said to Joseph. Vayomer le Yosef. But notice that NASB says Joseph was told. And a lot of translations do this. They flip it to a passive voice. Joseph was told. The Hebrew is actually active voice. Vayomer le Yosef. We just don't know who said it. It says, and he said to Joseph. Was this just the Lord? We're not told. It's okay to translate that as passive, and Joseph was told. But literally, Vayomer le Yosef, and he said to Joseph, Hine avicha chole. Behold, your father is chole. Chole, active, masculine, singular call participle. Chole, cholah, cholim, cholot. That would be the various forms. Here it's masculine, singular. Your father is ill or sick. Vayikach et shenei vanav imo. And he took that means it's setting us up for a definite direct object, and he took shenei vanav, 2 of his sons. Literally, now they'll say his 2 sons, but it's shenei vanav, 2 of his sons, imo, with him. Im plus a suffix, imo. And then we're given another, so it's et shenei, then we're given et Menashe, ve'et Ephraim. So et Menashe is the first son, ve'et Ephraim. In case there was any confusion, which 2 sons? Et Menashe, ve'et Ephraim. Now notice, he puts Menashe first here. Verse 2, Vayaged le Yaakov. And again, this is just like with verse 1. And he said to Jacob, but they're going to translate it passively, it was told to Jacob. But it's, and he said to Jacob, Vayomer, and he said, or he told Jacob, and he said, Hine, bincha Yosef ba elecha. Behold, your son Yosef ba elecha has come to you. Vayit chazek Yisrael, and Israel yit chazek. If you've ever heard, when you read the Torah, there's a traditional a custom I think is really nice. At the end of each of the books of the Pentateuch, you say chazak, chazak, vanit chazek. So chazak is be encouraged, vanit chazek, and let us be built up or strengthened. Well, that's this word here, but here it's he. Vayit chazek Yisrael, and Israel strengthened himself. Vayeshiv al hamita, and he sat al hamita, on the bed. Verse 3, Vayomer Yaakov el Yosef, and Jacob said to Joseph, El Shaddai nir'ah elai beluz, be'eretz Kenaan, vayvarek oti. Let's go through that again. El Shaddai. That's one of the names for God. El Shaddai. Nir'ah elai, appeared to me. Beluz. Luz. This is all the way back to Genesis 28. Remember where Jacob is fleeing because his brother Esau says he wants to kill him, and he's been sent by his mother and father to get a wife from Uncle Laban, basically up in Padan Aram, and he has that vision. Remember, he comes to a place and he rests his head on a stone and he sees the sulam, mutzav al adama. Remember the ladder That's at Luz. And he called it Bethel, right? Beluz. But he says, El Shaddai nir'a elai beluz, be'eretz Canaan, in the land of Canaan. Because remember, he's in Egypt now. So he's telling Joseph about what happened way before, when he was a single man, before I met your mother, kind of thing. Beluz, at Luz, be'eretz Canaan, in the land of Canaan. Vayvarech oti, and he blessed me. So what's wonderful here is that Jacob is telling his son Joseph, while they're in Egypt, way, way back before I had any children, when I was fleeing because Esau was threatened to kill me, and I was leaving, all I had was the staff, remember? And he says, El Shaddai nira elai, he appeared to me and he blessed me. I love this because it is, Jacob is the father telling his son how, as a young man, a young single man, he was blessed by the Lord. And he can understand, as difficult as his life has been, he remembered what he told Pharaoh. Many and ra'ot, evil have been the days of my life. However, he knows that he says that the Redeemer who has redeemed him from all evil, that God has been with him. And he's recognizing that this blessing, this life that he's lived, is anchored in this crucial moment that we learn about in Genesis 28. Here he's telling this again to Joseph. I'm sure Joseph has heard this story before, but he's reiterating it here at the end of his life. El Shaddai nir'a elai, he appeared to me, beluz, at Luz, be'eretz Canaan, in the land of Canaan, vayvarek oti, and he blessed me. Verse 4, Vayomer elai, and he said to me. So he appeared to me, nir'a li, right? Vayvarech oti, he blessed me. Vayomer elai, and he said to me. So now he's quoting. This is what the Lord said. Hineni mafrecha. Behold, I am making you fruitful. I am making you fruitful. Remember, he doesn't even have a wife yet. He's this young single man fleeing because his brother wants to kill him. And God tells him, I'm making you fruitful. Vehir biticha, and I will multiply you. Unetaticha likahal amim, I will make you a kahal amim, a congregation of nations. Here they say a multitude of peoples. The Septuagint here says es synagogas ethnon, into synagogues of nations. I thought that was interesting. I will make you, I will, poieso say, it is, I will make you synagogues, into synagogues of nations. And I wonder how those words landed for ancient Greek-speaking Jews when they heard that. Synagogues of nations. V'netati et ha'aretz hazot, and I will give ha'aretz hazot, this land, le'zaracha acharecha, to your seed, your zera, after you, ahuzat olam, an eternal inheritance. Verse 5. Ve'ata, and now. Remember, we don't want to mix, they sound alike, but remember, ata with an aleph is that second person pronoun, second person singular masculine independent pronoun. Ata, like Baruch ata, blessed are you. This is spelled with an ayin. It's from the word ayin nun tav, for now, for time. Ve'ata shnei vanecha hanoladim lecha be'eretz Mitzrayim ad bo'i elecha Mitzrayima. So this is a long setup here, but it's, and now two of your sons, hanoladim, the ones born lecha, to you, pardon me, be'eretz Mitzrayim, in the land of Egypt, ad bo'i elecha, before my coming to you. Ad bo'i, this is what we call an infinitive construct here, bo, with a first person suffix. So bo'i means my coming. Ad bo'i means until my coming, but it means before my coming. Elecha, to you. Mitzrayim, Egypt word. So this is all, sorry, that blue's obnoxious, I know. Shnei vanecha, and then everything here is just describing who were born to you in the land of Egypt before I came to you in Egypt. Lihem, to me they are. Lihem. So li, lamed yod, that is the lamed preposition plus the first person suffix. That e, that hirik yod, the same as bo'i. Bo'i. Lihem. To me they are. It just means they are mine. Lihem. They are mine. He is, just by uttering this, Jacob is saying, yeah, Joseph, you know those two sons of yours, Manasseh and Ephraim? They are mine. He's just claiming ownership of them. This is an adoption by fiat. Ephraim u'Menashe. And he mentions Ephraim first. Ephraim u'Menashe, Kiruven ve'Shim'on yehu li. Ephraim and Manasseh, ki. This is as, like Reuben and Simon. Reuven ve'Shim'on yehu li. They will be mine. So, lihem, to me they are, right? To me they are mine. Ephraim and Menashe, ki Reuven ve'Shim'on, just like Reuben and Simon, yehu li, they shall belong to me. This is awesome. We know that Reuben and Simeon are Leah's first two sons. And if you continue here, which I'm not going to hear, but if you continue, you'll see him, that is Jacob, mentioning Rachel and the death of Rachel on the way to Bethlehem. And so that makes me think that when Jacob is saying, these are mine, he's adding to Rachel's children. He's not adding to Leah's children. That's my thought. My thought is they're going to be mine in the same way that Reuben and Simeon are mine, which is like he's adding to Rachel's offspring by fiat, just by saying they are of equal status as Reuben and Simeon. That means tribal inheritance. He is expanding Rachel's memory in the tribal inheritance of the land. Because if you think about what's happening here, if only Joseph and Benjamin, that would be, Joseph would have some sort of tribal allotment. Benjamin would too, and that would be it. But by replacing Joseph with two tribes, Ephraim and Manasseh, he's expanding the territory of Rachel's offspring. So you could say, well, they're still Rachel's because they're Rachel's grandchildren. But they're more than that because they are no longer Joseph's children. It's, again, this just shows that God can do such things. There's such thing as adoption, to say, this is my child, and it's a legal fact. This becomes an undisputed fact that Ephraim and Manasseh are tribes right along with all the other sons of Leah and Bilhah and Zilpah, of course. So wonderful, wonderful passage here of Jacob remembering God's blessing and thinking back, all the way back when he was a young man, all by himself, heading out into a scary world full of unknowns. But he's recognizing, just like when Joseph tells, the brothers, you did this. I know you sold me here, but God sent me ahead to save lives. Here, Jacob also is understanding his past as under the protective care of God Almighty, of El Shaddai. Isn't that beautiful? And he blessed me at Luz before he even got to Padan Aram. So he's asserting, God was with me all this time. And I'm going to say that your 2 sons are mine. And as you go, you see that he actually puts Ephraim ahead of Menashe. That's a wonderful mystery, because clearly Joseph is saying, no, you've got it backwards, Father. You've got it backwards. And he says, I know what I'm doing, son. So there's a wonderful mystery here of why Jacob put the firstborn, Manasseh or Menashe, actually secondary to Ephraim. On a real easy level, I guess you could say, well, if you just look at the names, Ephraim, he's putting fruitfulness ahead of the dealing with the past, because Menashe had to do with past. If you remember, God has helped me to forget or move beyond the difficulties of my household, of growing up, and how my brothers treated me, etc., and the pain. But Ephraim has to do with fruitfulness. And indeed, when one support for that interpretation, that it was based on names, is because when he quotes in verse 3, when Jacob quotes the Lord, he says, Vayomer Yaakov el Yosef. Jacob told Joseph, El Shaddai nir'ah elai beluz beretz Canaan. He blessed me, and he said to me, in verse 4, I guess it is, Vayomer elai hineni mafrecha. Behold, I am making you fruitful. So the fact that after 20 years, Jacob is speaking with Joseph. He never even thought he would see Joseph. He sees Joseph, and he learns Joseph has 2 sons, Menashe and Ephraim. That Joseph is saying and asserting with his second-born son, God has made me fruitful. Jacob is saying, that's what God told me when I was a young man by myself. He said to me, verse 4, 48:4, Vayomer elai hineni mafrecha. Behold, I will make you fruitful. And so here, this could be an argument or support for the statement that one of the reasons Jacob made Ephraim ahead of Menashe and made him as if he was firstborn is because of what God told him, what God told Jacob when he was a young single man headed out, heading at Luz, leaving the promised land to Padan Aram. So that's just something to think about. But of course, God knows why he did it, and he did it because that's the way God wanted him to do it. And it didn't matter that Joseph protested, did it? Because, humans protest all the time, but God does things in mysterious things according to his own counsel. All right, well, I hope this short sicha, this short discussion, this meditation on the Torah here, back to our Psalm 119:97, has been fruitful for your understanding and a joy, and just stirred up some love and delight for God's wonderful Torah. All right, everybody, Shabbat.